Because that's how you need to think. Because we're the Americans, not the Europeans. Now, you see this? When Hillary Clinton spoke from the Ben Franklin room, do you know why she spoke from the Ben Franklin room? Anybody got any idea? That's after they bombed Benghazi. Why is she got them 3 Moorish flags behind her in Ben Franklin room when they do not speak publicly from the Ben Franklin room? Because they're appealing to the rest of the world, trying to imply that they're not maintaining servitude here, and they absolutely are.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, let me welcome our friends and colleagues from Morocco here to the Benjamin Franklin room on the 8th floor of the State Department for this very important first session of the U.S.-Morocco Strategic Dialogue. Before I begin to address the significance of this strategic dialogue and the next step in our long relations with Morocco, I want to say a few words about the events unfolding in the world today. America's commitment to religious tolerance goes back to the very beginning of our nation. And as you know, we are home to people of all religions, many of whom came to this country seeking the right to exercise their own religion, including, of course, millions of Muslims. And we have the greatest respect for people of faith. Violence, we believe, has no place in religion and is no way to honor religion. Islam, like other religions, respects the fundamental dignity of human beings, and it is a violation of that fundamental dignity to wage attacks on innocents. As long as there are those who are willing to shed blood and take innocent life in the name of religion, the name of God, the world will never know a true and lasting peace. Now, I know it is hard for some people to understand why the United States cannot or does not just prevent these kinds of reprehensible events from ever seeing the light of day. Now, I would note that in today's world, with today's technologies, that is impossible. But even if it were possible, our country does have a long tradition of free expression, which is enshrined
in our Constitution
and our law. We do not stop individual citizens from expressing their views, no matter how distasteful they may be. There are, of course, different views around the world about the outer limits of free speech and free expression.
But there should be no debate about the simple proposition that violence in response to speech is not acceptable.
We all, whether we are leaders in government, leaders in civil society, or religious leaders,
must draw the line at violence.
And any responsible leader should be standing up now and drawing that line. I wanted to begin with this statement because, as our Moroccan friends and all of you know, this has been a difficult week at the State Department. I very much appreciate, Minister, the condolences your government expressed to our embassy in Rabat. And even though that tragedy happened far away in Benghazi, we found a reminder of the deep bonds that connect Morocco to the United States. No country has been a friend of the United States longer than Morocco.
You were the first nation to recognize us back in 1777.
So in the memory of fallen friends and colleagues, let us remind ourselves of the many ways in which not just our governments, but the people of our two nations have worked together to build a better future.
Because they ain't told these people that they're Moors, but she's appealing to the rest of the world. Why? Because Ben Franklin was a minister plenipotentiary under Muhammad, Sultan of Morocco, when the treaty was set up and the ordinance of 1787 before the adoption of the Constitution for setting up this government, which is not under what? Christian law. It is Muslim law. Islam. Now, this is why Obama went to Hikupta, which is Egypt, which you call Egypt, but ain't Egypt. It's Hikupta.
Also no civilization's debt to Islam. It was Islam at places like Uluzada that carried the light of learning through so many centuries, paving the way for Europe's Renaissance and Enlightenment. It was innovation in Muslim communities. It was innovation in Muslim communities that developed the order of algebra, our magnetic compass and tools of navigation, our mastery of pens and printing, our understanding of how disease spreads and how it can be healed. Islamic culture has given us majestic arches and soaring spires, timeless poetry and cherished music. And throughout history, Islam has demonstrated through words and deeds the possibilities of religious tolerance and racial equality.
I also know that Islam has always been a part of America's story.
The first nation to recognize my country was Morocco. In signing the Treaty of Tripoli, in 1796, our second president, John Adams, wrote, "The United States has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, religion, or tranquility of Muslims." And since our founding, American Muslims have enriched the United States. They have fought in our wars, they have served in our government, they have stood for civil rights, they have started businesses, they have taught at our universities, they've excelled in our sports arenas, they've won Nobel Prizes, built our tallest building, and lit the Olympic torch. And when the first Muslim American was recently elected to Congress, he took the oath to defend our Constitution using the same Holy Quran
that one of our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, kept in his personal library.
So I have known Islam on 3 continents before coming to the region where it was first revealed. That experience guides my conviction that partnership between America and Islam must be based on what Islam is, not what it isn't. And I consider it part of my responsibility as President of the United States to fight against negative stereotypes of Islam wherever they appear.
And his wife triangulated, went to the Alhambra, the last stronghold of the Moors.
Hace apenas unos minutos hemos podido verla, eso sí, en la lejanía, paseando por los palacios nazaríes. Ha sido el colofón a una jornada en la que ha tenido una parte más cultural, con la visita a la Catedral de Granada, y después una parte más lúdica en la que ha podido asistir a un espectáculo de flamenco en pleno barrio del Sacromonte, en la cueva de la Rocío.
The Alhambra, the last stronghold of the Moors before the pontifex took place and the Christians overthrew the world. Don't think religion, think Pope of Rome. Now, I'm going to show you why all of your leader guys must be Masons. And I'm going to show you why all your presidents are Masons, etc. And why they will start telling you that it's devil worship so that you don't pay attention to it because you'll be getting back to your lost estate. See this December the 1st, 1789? He's been in office about 7 months. He was appointed. He was not elected. He was appointed April the 30th of that same year. Keep in mind, this is the same year, 1789, when the Sundry Free Moors Act was before the House of Representatives. To connect you. Are we clear? And this is to show you, for those naysayers and the COINTELPRO operatives that try to make these people think that Drew Ali made this stuff up. He's delivering you, bringing you back your name, your nationality, and the knowledge of your lost estate, and a consciousness so that you can reclaim it, so you can stop this stupid Negro colored suffering that you don't have to be doing. You're suffering because you're in dishonor. Because you have no estate if you dishonor your mothers and your fathers. You cannot transact business in another man's name and then talk about property. It ain't going to happen. You can't do somebody's name and nationality and then talk about you got property or inheritance. I mean, don't get angry, get smart. I mean, yeah, they really trying to take advantage of you, but you don't have to be dumb. Because the information is out there. Even though they've burned books for generations, there's enough information that free anybody that wants to be free. And don't think that scholars don't know this information, but this doesn't feed the black agenda. So they ain't going to reveal it. Do you understand? All right, so let's read this. And I want the children to pay particular attention. And I want you to also recognize why you're not going to find information like this in your school books. Why? Because it will liberate you. Because it puts everything back into context. And it starts to show you who's who. George Washington, and for those scholars who would dispute it, there's your reference from documents of American history. So don't think the scholars don't know this stuff. They just ain't talking. Letter from George Washington to Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Sultan of Morocco, city of New York, December the 1st, 1789. And he's wearing his Masonic garb, standing on the floor of a Sar set. Those black and white tiles represent a Sar and a set, the upper world, the lower world. Are we clear? All right. And the G stands for geometry. And these, that compass in the square, is referred to in the Bible as the carpenter's tools. And Jesus was a carpenter. You understand? Good. All right. All right. Now, anyway. Great and magnanimous friend, since the date of the letter which the late Congress, by their president, first sentence let you know that he wasn't the first president, you see, from his own letter. So you see why information like this is dangerous to be exposed to the common people who have been miseducated, who think Georgie was the first president when he was the 9th. Because if they gave you the other history, it begins to tie you back. And the leader guys don't want you to have that information because they can't play the black game and start marching and praying. And they're asking you for $5. Oh, make it 10, Jesus is half. You know, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I want you to pay attention to this, but when we get into it, I want you to look what is obvious to you, and so that we can get down to some of the politics. All right? Since the date of the letter which the late Congress by their president addressed your Imperial Majesty, the United States of America have thought proper to change their government and institute a new one agreeable to the Constitution, of which I have the honor herewith to enclose a copy. So you can understand the Constitution didn't come from them, did it? It was adopted by them. Now you understand what Obama was saying when he tell you that the American Constitution comes from Muslim law? I'm going to go on to Article 11 of the Treaty of Tripoli from the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that Obama read to the world and show you what he was reading and show you how it went over people's heads. And he's telling you. The time necessarily employed in the arduous task and the disarrangements occasioned by so great though peaceable a revolution will apologize and account for your majesties not having received those regularly advised marks of attention from the United States which the friendship and magnanimity of your conduct toward them afforded reason to expect. The United States having unanimously appointed me to supreme executive authority in this nation, you see he was appointed. Now later on you're going to find out why. Your Majesty's letter of August 17, 1788, so this is 2 years before he was appointed. He's talking about correspondences that were going on. How come you ain't getting this in school? Because they don't want you to know that you're standing on Morocco, that the land is Morocco, the occupational government is the United States, distinguished from the land. It's a foreign religious corporation belonging to the Jesuits. You're under occupation. And you're referred to as the Great Masonic Secret. And Mason means mother and son. Aset and Horus. Or what they call Isis and Horus. Or like they say in the church, Jesus and Mary, mother and son, and the study of Masonry. Masonry, that's what Masonry is. It's Moorish science. Anyway, so the United States having unanimously appointed me the supreme executive authority in this nation, your Majesty's letter of August the 17th, 1788, this was 2 years before the appointment, which by reason of the dissolution of the late government already exists, remain unanswered and has been delivered to me. I have also received the letters which your Imperial Majesty has been so kind as to write in favor of the United States to the Bashars of Tunis and Tripoli, and I present to you the sincere acknowledgments and thanks of the United States for this important mark of your friendship for them. So you see that Marine song? That's the one they talk from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. They conquered you. You get the point? All right. Now, we greatly regret the hostile disposition of those regencies, and so you must know that the regencies are the orders or the territorial orders of the Moors, from which they have designed your township, your boroughs, your counties, etc. The Moorish Science Temples of America are actually regencies. They're not only for ministerial work, they're also for national work. And you're supposed to be prepared to take your places amongst the affairs of men via the study of international law enforcement. The rest of the nations have already declared a recognition of you. Why are not you helping in this work? Except that you've been misguided by some people. So we're going to set this stuff straight so that you can comprehend this for yourself. Are we clear? All right, so we greatly regret the hostile disposition of those regencies toward this nation who have never injured them is not to be removed on terms of our power to comply with. As you can see, they couldn't keep up with the taxes. Now you understand why when you go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, you see all those statues got turbans and fezzes on? The Europeans tell them in school, oh, they're Frenchmen. And the Asiatics say, oh, all right. And statues got turbans and fezzes on. Biggest day. Gettysburg Address. So our people, they can't pay. You know, things are in their face and they like lunch. And within our territories, there are no mines with of gold or silver. And this young nation, just recovering from the waste and dissolution of a long war, have not as yet had time to acquire riches by agriculture and commerce. But our soil is bountiful. Pay attention to this, you all. Take notes, take notes, take notes, take notes. Now you want to see why all of your leader guys must be Masons and why they got a Moorish fez in secret. Now look at this. We have not yet had time to acquire riches by agriculture and commerce, but our soil is bountiful and our people industrious, and we have reason to flatter ourselves that we shall gradually become useful to our friends. Pay attention to this paragraph. The encouragement which your majesty has been pleased generously to give to our commerce with your dominions. Where do you think you're standing? Moorish dominions. See why they don't give you real history? Why they reconstructed the history? Reconstruction? They weren't building, they're reconstructing history. So the encouragement which your majesty has been pleased generously to give to our commerce with your dominions, the punctuality with which you have caused the treaty with us to be observed, and the just and generous measures taken in the case of Captain Proctor make a deep impression on the United States and confirm, pay attention, their respect for and attachment to your imperial majesty. The United States is an appendage of the Moroccan Empire. Now you understand in your divine constitution, bylaws, and Durali said you're part and parcel of the said government must live the life accordingly. Now you understand why Obama told you that this constitution comes from Muslim law and this is not a Christian country? And our people think it's absolutely the opposite with their miseducation and promoted by a lot of their black leaders who are paid off because they know this information, but this will kill that diaspora because you was already here. It gives me great pleasure to have the opportunity of assuring your majesty that while I remain at the head of this nation, I shall not cease to promote every measure that may conduce to the friendship and harmony which so happily subsists between your empire and them, and shall esteem myself happy in every occasion of convincing your majesty of the high sense which in common with the whole nation I entertain the magnanimity, wisdom, and benevolence of your majesty. May the Almighty bless your imperial majesty, our great and magnanimous friend, with his constant guidance and protection, signed George Washington. You'll never see that in the history books because it kills the whole misinformation foundation that he was the first president and that this government was set up by them. No, they were brought into government. The Constitution is their sanction to do business at Morocco. There's that business flag of amity and commerce. Now you understand why you have that Moorish flag, and then you have the stars and stripes. It's a banner. It's not the national flag. This is the national flag. It's your history. You're standing on your own land, trying to go to Africa, and you're standing on Africa. And the world's laughing all the way to the bank. That's the truth. You know, and the real ugly thing about this stuff is that your leader guys know this stuff. That's why Martin, who was a 32-degree Mason, said that y'all refugees in your own land. Then he talked about your Great Seal Pyramid, because he's a 33-degree Mason. He says, I've been to the mountaintop. And I've seen the promised land. I might not get there with you, but we as a people will make it to the promised land. He's talking about the concept of the Great Seal, but you can't talk about the Don because you're done. That's why it's supposed to be for the temple of Solomon, although they hit him in his neck. They was aiming for the temple as Masonic assassination. Yeah, he was assassinated. Yeah, because he was start talking against the Pope's army. You know, with that Vietnam thing, he started talking about the Pope's army. And when they smacked him upside the head with that brick when they was marching across that bridge, he said something really wrong with these people. And he started getting a little bit more radical. And that wasn't good because he was supposed to be an overseer. Because he had an assignment to interject in all of the so-called organizations, particularly like the Panthers, those who were doing positive things, and take the credit. Just like the breakfast stuff, that was with the Panthers, not him. The March on Washington, that was the Pampers, not him. He was interjected. But he got frustrated at a while, started telling the truth, because he's 33-degree Mason, but you can't give no signals that you're getting ready to break the seal. Step on the Roman seal, and you go on. Do you understand? And same thing with Kennedy. When Kennedy started bringing the Gold Act in, that gold, they talking about gold and silver that belonged to you, because remember, the Christians came here to steal our gold and silver. That's their whole mission. We keep forgetting real history. That's why they bumped him off. Do you understand what I'm saying? For trying to bring the gold back in. But anyway, so I'm going to go into this, not totally, so you can understand where Georgie come in, right? Now, this is the preamble to the treaty. And see, 1786, 1787. And so you got to remember this when you're looking at history. The ordinance of 1787 deals with what you call the Northwest Territories, the formation of government, how this government would be styled, etc., and the considerations that was taken for indigenous people. Not Indians, indigenous people. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Then the adoption of the Constitution of 1788, 1789. Then he was appointed 1789 because Ben Franklin, who was a minister plenipotentiary, this is where you get potentate in all your secret societies, minister plenipotentiary, it was Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and Thomas Jefferson, under the authority of the Sultan of the land, Morocco. So here's the entry, or what you call the preamble, and we don't even have to go through it for you to see your history. But if you don't know that you're Moors, you don't relate. You see the point? That's why they start promoting that Negro, black, and color stuff. As soon as you start agreeing to be somebody that you're not, you lost your claim of heirship to the large estate, which is under the control of the popes of Rome, under the U.S. Corporation Army. You understand? And that's why they created those 10 miles in 1871 for the popes of Rome, of Washington, D.C., and then did the shadow government to overthrow the republic. You see? And that's why they had that fake bank holiday in 1931, 2, 2, 3, 29, up to that 33, after they got rid of Drew Ali in 29. And this is when they set up the democracy order in 33, which I'll show you in congressional records, to show you how you're being played and how people who know this information are avoiding this information because you can't deal with emotions. You got to deal with facts. And when you deal with facts, you can either fix stuff or run. Now, if y'all want to fix stuff, I'm going to give you stuff to fix stuff. You ain't got to talk about racism. You can start fixing this thing. Let's talk about taking them to high court for human trafficking. How about that? How about going after his bird cage in his house? Because remember, and the other reason I wanted to show you this, because I wanted to show you that when Asiatics and Europeans pretend that they don't know who the Moors are, you can see the Moors are the foundation of this government. So I'm proving to you that they're full of crap. Both sides. And they're paying taxes to these Romans for their own enslavement. This is why our brothers and sisters from Africa and Asia and other jurisdictions can come here in the North Gate within 2 years, if they stop past the hardware store on the way, get a thick piece of plexiglass because they're coming into the zoo. Well, it's true. Because when you deal with Jekyll and Hyde, you know, because one day we cool. Next day we do this Jekyll and Hyde thing on you. We do it on each other because they don't know each other. They don't know themselves. They don't love themselves because the Christians have taught them to hate themselves. So anything that's related to Africa or Asia, our people have this kind of like persimmon type thing. They do. They get strange. They really, really do because they're scared of Rome because they know, everybody knows that the European is the Negro God. You know, so if he puts a picture up of Michelangelo's son and says Jesusness, that's Jesusness. Even though the book says he got hair like lamb's wool, skin like burnished brass. No, that ain't Jesusness. It's the other one. And so they know they're going to the bank. But this is why people come, so you understand the economics, why and how Asiatics come from other jurisdictions, whether the islands or Africa or Kibalan on that side, and they can make economic progress quite quickly. Because they don't sell their birthright. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have political problems just like we do, but they ain't going to come to no political jurisdiction talking about their light-skinned, orange-skinned black people. How you like my light-skinned black yellow shirt? And what the, what? You can go in an Oxford dictionary. And this is another important thing about the etymon, and why it's important to teach the children. Black is actually Middle English. So the first thing, also this is for the children too, keep this in mind, babies. Keep this in mind, baby, all right? So when you're looking up a word and you see those large letters, so you look at black and you look in that dictionary and it says M-E, your job is to go into the linear entry. Your job is to go to Middle English and put a date on it. Do you understand? And then what are you going to be dealing with, you all, etymologically? How many hundreds? 1,100, 1,500? What are you talking about? I'm going to leave that to you. But the point of it is, when you do that, all scholars know this. Remember, all priests know these rules because they're taught. That's why they got the priest degree. That's why they're imams. Because remember, they're all Kabbalists. Kabbalah. They know the mathematical measurement of the Hebrew alphabet, what you call the alphabet, alpha omega, how to read, that it has what's a sound value, a numerical value, and a form value. And that's how language is read across the planet, except it's not taught to people who think crayons are people. You know, I got a light-skinned, orange-skinned black girlfriend. And I bought her a dark-skinned black leather coat. And people will be thinking that stuff is Afrocentric and deep. And they're laughing all the way to the bank. Now, this is your challenge, because you're going to go home to your libraries, because I already know people get emotional. Oh, you ain't telling me Afrocentric, can't tell me that stuff. I'm getting upset, you know, start that stuff. So ME, so you go to your appendix, and you put a date on it. So when you're properly reading, and this is how scholars check other scholars. So I'm just giving you keys that all PhDs have, all right? Because they all, I mean, this across the board. So don't think because he's Muslim, so they don't have it. Oh, he's Jew, they don't have it. Oh, he's Christian. Please, they're all of them are jokesters. Across the board. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? People are born Muslim. You know what a Muslim is? A fetus. Ain't got nothing to do with belief. It's a fetus. It is. Muscles, hair, tissues, electrical system created by woman. By the energies of the planet activating her womb, governed by the moon, 13 cycles as the moon dances around the sun, around the earth as the earth dances around the sun, by which time is told by measurement, and woman herself is the walking calendar. Please. Anyway, that's religion. So, if you look up the word black, first you put a time in it, and then you go to ME, and then you look at Middle English, and that means what? You're dealing with 1100s, 15s in that area? So already the scholar knows that black is not ancient. It doesn't even go past the 1100s. So when they're talking about the ancient black gods of Egypt, scholars know they're lying. But believers don't know better because they got the mentalities of boys and girls. You know, Pharaoh was black. Jesus was black. This is what a scholar knows. So you go to the Middle English, right, and you put a date on it. Then it traces to OHG. OHG is Old High German, and it means pale. See why they laugh at these people? It comes from the Paleolithic man. Negro Yabera Arebo, the animal used in the experiment that created what you call the caveman or Paleolith. And if you don't believe it, go into Oxford Dictionary, look up hybrid, then go look up troglodyte nigger, and then look up chimpanzee, and it'll give you history. And you ain't a caveman. And you're not Paleolith. Therefore, you're not black. The European is black man. It means caveman. All right, so let's go a little further. Now, when they murdered them brothers and sisters in Philly and Moor, they did this non pro tunc. Even though this was issued before, and this, keep in mind, this is from the General Assembly, House of Representatives, and this is so that when your so-called black leaders talk about they don't know about this information, but they can go back into Egypt, but they don't know about this stuff that's taking place right now. And all your marching Negro leaders that's always raising this money for some Negro trash man's job that's dealing with these so-called lawyers and barristers and everything, and these politicians, and they got this information. How come they ain't putting this information in the community? Let's look at what's obvious, all right? The General Assembly of Pennsylvania, and keep in Pennsylvania, this is where they took the birthright, right? Now also keep in mind, with Resolution 75, this is where the House of Representatives recognized your right to your titles that were taken from you, Ali, Il, and Bey, confirming what Noble Drew Ali said, also supported by the nations of the earth. And this information was given to civic groups, to churches, etc., in all the communities with the instructions that this information be dispensed amongst the people at all costs. If you don't believe it, go look up the rights of indigenous people that Obama signed when he came back from Egypt, if you believe I'm lying to you. The point that I'm making to you, this information is not unknown. What it is, it doesn't fit everybody's agenda. A few pieces of silver, even though they don't handle silver no more because they ain't allowed to handle money. They got fiat because Rome controlling their estate. So let's look at this, you guys. So, and this is, and I'm taking you to take notes so you can go research this stuff yourself. So you can see it has nothing to do with what you believe. It has to do with the politics of the planet. All right? And it also shows you that the Moorish Science Temple of America is established to dispense this information, but the information is not owned by them either because it's a birthright. Are we clear? So it's in your interest to support those temples because they are what? Outposts. But don't let them play you either if the administrators aren't doing what they're supposed to do. Are we clear? This means this is yours to do whether or not you ever were told. Because everybody already knows it. Because you can't fix your economic problems if you're not in your proper person, which we're going to take you to law and show you that too. So anyway, many sons and daughters. Now this is a little colored. However, enough information is there that's indisputable. All right? So many sons and daughters of that proud and handsome race, which inspired the architecture of Northern Africa and carried into Spain the influence of its artistic temperament and have become citizens of this nation. Now, with that sentence, if you understand world history, then you understand the Renaissance that Noble Drew Ali makes mention of, and you will understand Renaissance men and all your Europeans who are Masons today who studied Islam. And we're talking the science. We ain't talking about the ritual. We're talking science that rules the planet. Are we clear? There's a difference. You know, we ain't talking about salami bologna stuff. We're talking real science, life science. Are we clear? There's a distinction. So don't get that twisted, all right? We're talking about what's used universally. You know, beliefs have nothing to do with it. We're talking about science. Are we clear? No. All right. So many sons and daughters of that proud and handsome race which inspired the architecture of Northern Africa and carried into Spain the influence of its artistic temperament have become citizens of this nation. In the city of Philadelphia, there exists a Moorish American society made up of Moors who have found here an end of their quest for a home and of the children of those who journeyed here from the plains of Morocco. Look at chapter 47. Chapter 47, you circle 7 Quran before the great earthquake, and you see the transferring, or us who crossed, the dividing of the land between Ham and Cush. And then you see the east, the north, northeast, southwest parts of Africa on that side, and north, central, South America, including the islands, comprises the Moroccan Empire, or the ancient Moabites, the foundation of civilization on planet Earth, with the Great Seal Pyramid as the symbol of civilization itself, which is why no one speaks under it, under that note that the Jesuits have on that fake dollar that they're dispensing. That's why no one can speak under it, because it belongs to you. You're the sovereign. You've just been overthrown. So the society has done much to bring about a thorough absorption of these people, of those principles which are necessary to make them good American citizens. The Moorish Americans have, since being here, missed the use of the titles and name annexations that were so familiar at home and which are used in accordance with the doctrines of the religious faith to which their adherents therefore be resolved, that this House commends the Moorish American Society of Philadelphia for the efficient service it has rendered the nation in bringing about a speedy and thorough Americanization of these former Moors. Who do you think former Moors were? People who were Moors before now think they're crayons. That means nationalizing you. Because without your nationalization, you have no right of estate. And I'm showing you that these politicians know this information and trying to act like this information is only in the Moorish Science Temple of America. But everybody got a zip lip, because once they tell you the truth, you ain't got no business being poor no more, y'all. And that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, because you're finding out that you are the wealthiest people in the world. Somebody else is controlling your estate. How come nobody wants these people to know they're Moors? I wonder why. So resolved that the House commends the Moorish American Society of Philadelphia for the efficient services that have rendered the nation in bringing about a speedy and thorough Americanization of these former Moors, that in accordance with the fullest right of religious independence guaranteed every citizen, we recognize also the right of these people to use the name of fixers, Il, Ali, or Bey, or any other prefix or suffix to which they have heretofore been accustomed to use, or which they may after acquire the right to use. On the question, will the House adopt the resolution, it was adopted May the 4th, 1933. That's not new news, is it? Now, notice that it's May the 4th, 1933, this was adopted, right? But then March, a couple months before, Franklin Delano Roosevelt did the Gold Act, Trading with the Enemy Act crap, and the fake crash. That's what it was all about, to hide this information. To distract you. You see the point? Now let me show you some more information. Now I'm going to go back to the treaty book, and I'm going to show you what Obama was reading from. Anybody that's what I'm saying, go on any internet and type in, what does Obama have to say about the Moors? And then he's going to go right into Tripoli Treaty. And I'm going to go into it for you. And he goes into the middle, but I'm going to go into the whole thing to let you see. This is what Obama's going to be reading from. Keep in mind, they break tradition, don't they? Because the president and his wife are always presented together, aren't they? How come she triangulated and went to the Alhambra, the last stronghold of the Moors? Then he goes to Egypt and exposes that the United States Constitution comes from Muslim law. And he goes right into Article 11. Let's look what Article 11 said, that the president for the United States Corporation spoke to the world. As the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. First sentence. See what you don't know about this government? See what your so-called marching leaders have been hiding from you, because most of them are paid off to play these 501c3 games with Lyndon Baines Johnson to keep his Negro marching guys in order. That's what that 501c3 agreement is for. Don't rock the boat. So as the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion, as it has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, religion, or tranquility of Muslimin, that's where you get Muslim from, and the said states never entered in any war or act of hostility against any Mohammedan nation, it is declared by the parties that no pretext arising from religious opinion shall ever produce an interruption of the harmony existing between the two countries. Doesn't that go back in support of George Washington's letter? So now when y'all have issues in front of that courts, and them magi's, them judges and magistrates who are Masons, and you walk in there and they playing them Negro acts on you, don't you know that they know that they're violating you? And don't they know that that Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple is supposed to automatically send a mufti down there to remove you out of that jurisdiction? Because you don't belong in that jurisdiction? That's why Eisenhower closed down consular courts in '54 to control his marching Negro leaders, because that's the proper venue. Because consular court is Article 3, Section 2, diversity of citizenship. But they needed you to agree that you was colored. And therefore they needed some Negro guys to convince you were people of color. Well, let me show you what them Negro leaders know. I'm going to take you right to law. Now, I'm going to go to Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary. And all of them, all your politicians and all your leader guys got this information, because remember, anybody that got degrees must know language and must know how to trace language. And they must know the basic geometry operations of government, because they're taught it. That's what makes them imams. That's what makes them rabbis. That's what makes them grand sheiks. You understand? So don't think because they're from different clubs that they got different information, because truth don't change or pass away. In secret, they're all Kabbalists. In open, they make all these little different versions so they can have different parts of the club take care of them. And Susie, with Jesus' half. Now keep in mind, Knights of Columbus Ku Klux Klan oath, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Chicago, Illinois, 1854 to 1863, Horace Greeley in competition with Lincoln, Go West Young Man, that's the ritual with the Mummers Parade that they're using, and the Whig of Moor party, Whig of Moor, they put on wigs to look like Moors. That's why they use it just like they do in England right now. The barristers wear wigs to imitate the Moors. That's why they call the Whig of Moor party. Then that became the Republican Party. Then that became the White Party. This is when the European took on the title white that belonged to you. It's a status, not a complexion. Now, this is what it's assumed to mean since the Knights of Columbus Ku Klux Klan oath, 1854 to 63, Philadelphia, Chicago, and then the Naturalization Act of 1870 when it started to be used by them calling themselves white. But this is what it really means in law, including supported law case. Are we clear? So let's go through this. Free white persons, quote unquote, is a legal phrase referred in the Naturalization Act. So now you're supposed to know sociology, you're supposed to know nationalization acts and naturalization. They're distinct. Naturalization is for aliens. Are we clear? Now, as amended July 14th, 1870, which meaning naturally given to it when first used in 1 Statute 103C3, meaning all persons belonging to the European races, then commonly counted as white, and their descendants, including such descendants in other countries to which they have immigrated. And understand in law books you have condensation, so you take what you call your conjunctions and stuff like that, and then you re-interject them, the preps, etc., because it's condensed. So it here is free white persons. You see this? So it, free white persons, includes all European Jews more or less intermixed. If they're not mixed, they can't be free white people. Meaning if they ain't got melanin in them, can't be free white people. It's a legal status. It includes all free European Jews more or less intermixed with peoples of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. Free white persons includes Magyars, Lapps, and Finns, and the Basque and Albanians. Free white persons includes the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, the mixed Greek, Latin, and Phoenicians, and North African inhabitants of Sicily. North Africans are white people. Do you understand? Phoenicians are white people. Moors are white people. It's a legal status. So, all right, so Iberian and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, the mixed Greek and Latin, Phoenician, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia. Free white persons does not mean Caucasian race. Can y'all repeat this, please? Who can read? Who can read? Who can read? Can you read? All right, let's do this together, y'all. It means free white persons. Free white persons, come on, y'all, does not mean Caucasian race. Free white persons does not mean Aryan race. Free white persons does not mean Indo-European races, nor the mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, Semitic, and Mongolian peoples who inhabit Persia. A Syrian of Asiatic birth and descent will not be entitled to become a naturalized citizen of the United States as being a free white person. Then you got all your law case, so you can see clearly it's a legal status. So what happens when you call that European white man? You just called him sovereign and transferred your estate to him as fofer. Now, as soon as he acts like it, you want to talk about he's racist. See the danger of not being educated? And then you get angry because you just don't know. So the people are destroyed by the day for a lack of knowledge. Man, know thyself. Because I got to show you what everybody knows about you, including them guys that keep on, them COINTELPRO operatives that's on this campaign or trying to smear us. So I'm proving you that they all have this information. I'm proving you that they all know. I'm proving you're tied to this government, to this land. So when you see them attacking Moors, you better defend yourself because they're attacking your estate. Because they don't want you to wake up. Why? Because all them bonds around the world, them countries are going to drop them because they're worthless paper, because they're all based on your estate. All of those bonds, those U.S. Treasury bonds around the world are based on the Moorish estate. And now that you're waking up, they're dead paper. So bankers are committing suicide? I think somebody's helping them. Like the Dragon family, maybe from China or something. They called me from England last year. Cause I talk to people from around the world. When you're national, people from other countries talk to you. They won't talk to Negroes. No, I'm not saying that as a negative, because they can't be trusted. Because they know that anybody that'll betray their own blood will betray them. Because our people, they'll be out of job 2 months. Do you got a country we can go to kill the women and children because they're not Christians? Because I need a job, and they go in the military and start murdering their own brothers and sisters around the world, come back and start some Negro marching group with their Negro Mason leader guys who act like they don't know what's up. And we didn't get no black badges from Troop 54. So we're going to raise some money. Yeah, right. Everybody knows niggers can't be trusted. Nobody likes black people because they're traitors. They don't know that's how the world views them. They think that the world just don't like their color. It ain't exactly what they think. But a national, they'll talk because they know you know the history. And they know if you have the courage in the face of this opposition to speak openly and Rome didn't kill you yet, they know basically you have some sense of credibility. Not a guarantee, but some sense of credibility. But they know that most of our people, they'll sell their babies out in a minute as soon as they're out of job 2 weeks. They will. And then blame the devil. The devil's a scapegoat. Because they don't have the courage to face this Roman for what he does to them every day. Now, color. An appearance, a semblance, or simulacrum as distinguished from that which is real. A prima facie or apparent right, hence a deceptive appearance, a plausible assumed exterior concealing a lack of reality. Now, you see what they're saying when they say you're people of color? Now I'm going to show you colored. I'm going to show you colored. All right? Now I'm going to show you it's a legal term. And they've been training you to think it's Afrocentricity. It's a legal phrase. Babies, with the babies, take notes. Babies, take notes. Because we don't want them to grow up with these brands. Because remember, these brands, there's codes that come with these brands. When they agree to these things, there's codes that come with them. So if you agree to be colored, there's codes that go with this stuff. Colored by common usage in America. So the first sentence let you know is used sociologically. Are we clear? This term is a term, not an identity. Are we clear? In such phrases as quote unquote, so that's emphasized, isn't it? Colored persons, quote unquote, the colored race, quote unquote, colored men, and the like is used to designate Negroes or persons of African race, including all persons of mixed blood descended from Negro ancestry, and it gives you law case. Now pay attention to this, very important. But where a state constitution provided for separate schools for the white and colored races, the term quote unquote white race was held to be limited to the Caucasian race, and the term quote unquote colored races to embrace all other races, then it gives you law case. It has also been held, pay attention to this y'all, that there is no legal, technical signification to the phrase, quote unquote, colored persons, which the courts are bound judicially to know. They don't even have to recognize you because it's a brand. Now that's law. Now you see why you must have dictionaries, y'all, why you must be re-educated? Because the world knows what these terms mean, and you've been played by your marching leader guys who have this information too, but they can't do the black thing, and they can't raise black funds and take your lunch money. They got to come with some cures. So you see why the European took on the title white? Because it belonged to you. He traded places.
We are commodities brokers, William. Now, what are our commodities? Commodities are agricultural products, like coffee that you had for breakfast, wheat, which is used to make bread, pork bellies, which is used to make bacon, which you might find in a bacon and lettuce and tomato sandwich.
You know, you can't just go run and shoot people in the kneecaps with a double-barrel shotgun because you pissed at them.
Why not?
It's called assault with a deadly weapon. You get 20 years for that.
Listen, do you have any better ideas?
Yeah, you know, it occurs to me that the best way you hurt rich people is by turning them into poor people.